So welcome back, episode 59.
Let's
Special,
go.
yes, let's go. Special episode. We got Tyler Tolson in the house.
Yes.
Thank you for coming out, man.
Absolutely. Stoked to be here.
Thought you were going to fly out, and you just told me you drove from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yes.
Or from Logan.
From Logan.
Yeah.
Close to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Up in the mountains, and I figured it was almost the same amount of time.
Yeah.
And so I could sneak away and just enjoy a drive, take my time, and it was great. Beautiful drive.
Cool.
Love it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Stayed at the top secret Lincoln House.
You
Thank
did.
you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Appreciate
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we haven't seen each other since Into the Woods.
It doesn't feel like that long ago, but it has been a while.
It has been.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You came out, you did a workshop. You showed up to do a workshop and you had lost your voice.
Yes. Night before, lost my voice. Literally, I couldn't even make a sound the night before. And somehow, magically, was able to drink enough honey, hot tea, and get the microphone close enough to give the workshop. So
That's cool.
Yeah, it was successful. And a big shout out to Mark Bricky for helping me with that too.
Yeah, Mark loves to talk, so he's like, I'll stand in with you and talk for you.
I love it. Yeah. But, huge shout out to you guys, the Lincoln team, for Into the Woods. I mean, epic conference. I can't say enough good about it. And the connections, the conversations that have come from that.
Yeah.
It's been life-changing for me. So
that's cool.
Thank you guys.
That's great to hear.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that's kind of, we've talked about if you go to an event like this, the one big thing I think you'll get out of it, and the thing that you get the most out of it, is those relationships and connections. I talked about, like, you might go to your workshop, but in 3-4 years, are you going to remember that workshop? Maybe you take away some nuggets from it,
Right.
but most likely you're going to remember who you met there, the conversations you had, those relationships, kind of continue on. Now you're kind of working with Made by James.
Yep.
You came out, you have a book launch at CC Coffee and Motorcycles here with Tor.
Yep.
And those all came from Into the Woods, right?
All from Into the Woods. Yeah.
That's cool.
One of the things that I do, and I did it at Into the Woods, I'll do it here as well. I give away my calendar for artists, designers, entrepreneurs who are wanting to scale to 6, 7, 8 figures. I just open up my calendar for free just to help. And so a lot of these conversations and collaborations and things have come from that. And it's been a blast. My the team that I've got over at Denik is an incredible team, and they know that we're just trying to give and make things better for creatives and find ways to use art to change the world. So
that's cool.
It's just it's a blast.
Yeah.
Conferences like that just stir it up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to hear. I'm glad you had a good time, and
For sure.
you will be back for our next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just say the word and I'm there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, you touched on kind of giving back and what you're doing now. Well, let's get into that towards the end. Let's back up a little bit, and let's give a little info to the viewers and listeners on what Denik is, kind of your whole path, because I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, you're an artist yourself, and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah. So 2011, that's when I started Denik, and what it is a designer notebook company. That's how we break it down. A notebook company that we work with artists all over the world, print their work on notebooks, journals, sketchbook.
Great product.
Thank you. With every product that we sell, part of the money goes to the artist that designed it, and then part of the money goes to building schools. Yeah. And so for me, being an artist, all growing up, people were like, don't be an artist because you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it, right? You're just going to fail. You're going to starve. Yeah. And I hated hearing that as a kid. When I'm pursuing my passions, and I mean, I look back at pulling out the comics. My grandma used to just pull the comics out for me and put them in the basement so I could draw them as a kid.
That's cool.
And I think that's where my love came from. And so me enjoying that and people saying, don't do that. You're not going to do anything with that in your life. It's cool, but you got to get a real job. Yeah. So I hated hearing that. And in college, I got really excited about entrepreneurship and pursuing some business opportunities, had some pocket change, and bought some machinery because my sister-in-law, as I was drawing in a notebook, she said, "Oh, that drawing would be so cool if it was on the cover of the notebook." And I was like, yes, these notebooks and sketchbooks, these are the tools that we pour our creative souls into. There are some great brands out there, but why is there not a product that's a little more creative or actually featuring the artists, the work that's created in them?
Yeah.
And so that was 2011. Instagram was coming in hot, right? Yeah. And so it was so easy to reach out to these artists all over the world. And I just started connecting with them and said, "Hey, bought some machinery. I'd love to print your art on our notebooks and sketchbooks. We'll give you a part of every sale, and we'll use part of it to build schools. So you can make a little bit of money and do some good with your art. You don't have to be some famous artist. You could be a high school kid in Chicago." And with that, it just snowballed from there. And a lot of hustle, a lot of grit and grind over the years. We just celebrated 12 years in November.
Nice. So, congrats.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Thank you. And we've worked with hundreds of artists from all over the world, if not thousands now. And we've funded 8 schools worldwide. We've built 7. 7 are in operation. We've got 2 in Mali, Africa, 1 in Guatemala, 1 in Ghana, 1 in Laos, 1 in Nicaragua, 1 in Senegal. Jeez. And then number 8 is funded, and it'll be built in Nepal.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
in Nepal, huh?
Exactly.
Wow.
So, I remember being in college and telling a buddy walking on campus, like, "Hey, I'm going to do this notebook thing, and it's going to do some good. I'm going to build schools with it." And he stopped me, and he was like, "Do you really think selling notebooks you can build a school?" And
that was
fire
your challenge.
was lit.
Yep, that was your challenge.
Challenge accepted. Yeah.
Damn.
So, it's been a journey. It's been a roller coaster ride. I've learned a ton and could fill a book one day, right?
You should. Yeah, you should.
Right?
Yeah. That's great. So all out of Utah, right?
Yes.
In the Logan, Utah area.
Logan, Utah area.
You went to college in Utah.
Yep. Went to Utah State. Actually, I did things a little differently. When I was starting the business, I was still in school, and I took all the entrepreneurship classes and went to those professors and said, "Hey, I'm starting a business right now. Is it okay if I use my business for the curriculum?" And they totally adapted it to me and were like, "Yeah, let's help you get your business up."
Perfect.
And then I also did an internship for myself. Worked with a couple professors, set up a 3-credit internship just to build my business and then report to the professors. And
very cool.
So I got like 8 credits to just build my business in college.
Great idea.
Had other interns in college who were stoked about marketing, social, all that stuff. And we just started going at it.
Can put them to work.
Exactly. Exactly.
Get some credits, put the kids, your buddies to work.
Yep,
and
exactly.
And then by the time you graduate college, you're like, "Oh shit, like I got a business."
Yes.
Like, wow.
Yep. So then, my wife and I, we moved down to Salt Lake, about an hour south of Logan. And we opened up a little office there. It was about the size of this room. Okay. I think it technically was the closet of the building there. We put a round table in the middle, cool stuff on the walls, and just started going. And, just building over the years. So
that's great.
Yep.
I mean, building so you're manufacturing a product. Like that's tough when starting a business. There's overhead. There's all kinds of things that go into that, outside of say, a design, business, advertising, stuff like that. Your overhead's your computers, but as far as like machines to print your back end with your website and things, like what drew me to you, somehow I stumbled on your company. Yeah. I don't know. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think this was like the very first notebook I ever made.
Love it.
Stumbled on the website and was like blown away that I could upload my own art and print my own notebook with, with my designs on it. And then I was blown away that the inside cover, like outside cover, cool, but the fact that you could print the inside cover, you could pick from 3 different papers, whether it was dot lined or sketchbook, and then 3-4 different sizes as well, with different bindery. I was like, holy shit, like, is this real? And then the price was like amazing, right? So printed one, got it back, and it like has this kind of touch coat like finish on it. And I'm like, whoa, this is no shit. So then I kept making more, made some for all the guys, and then we ended up hooking up and actually doing a collab. But the fact that how long into the business were you able to get that website set up that you can take online art like that and then print it?
Sure.
And then another question after that, like, how do you do that? Like, do you gang run things? Like, that to me, like, is kind of mind blowing that someone can upload their art, print one book.
Yeah. So for us, the initial hustle was in the retail placement.
Okay.
So we started getting some serious retail distribution, and
Gotcha.
we sell in 16,000 stores nationwide. Wow. So like the Targets to
16,000.
Urban Outfitters to Barnes and Noble, small shops all across the board. Like that has been a massive channel for us for a number of years, and that's how we grew, and that's where a lot of the hustle was early, was getting that distribution.
Those accounts.
And so getting that distribution and really ramping up, we also ramped up this channel where we were making custom notebooks for companies all over.
Okay.
And for us, it was about, I'd say 2017, 2018, when we really started working on the online templates to let people design their own, whether it's a business, an individual, or artists who wanted to kind of get some bulk discounts and sell them on their own. So 2017 was really when we were like, we gotta build this out, and we had already had some significant volume. And so yes, we've got gang runs, and we just set it up to where, digitally we can run one off, and it's just all run in a certain batch. 3 p.m. it's batched, goes into production.
Very cool.
And goes through the stages, and it's been how we've connected with some cool people. People have found us, and then people, obviously we run some ads and do promote it, but a lot of the growth on that online side is people get it. A creative designer, artist gets one, loves it, sells a bunch, and then tells their buddies, like, this is the spot. So it's got some good organic growth too. It's been fun.
I mean, it's definitely different, I would say, from other, say, notebook companies or whatever. The fact that you can do that. And then the fact that the product is legit. Because to me, I was kind of like, oh, we'll see what this looks like. Because I've tested every single notebook. Like, I feel like company, I keep every notebook. Like, I'm about to end the year. This one will be full, so I'll get a new one for next year, And I have all my old ones, and they're all different bindings. And so I've tested a lot of them. So my first thought was, hey, the fact that you can do this, like, it's probably going to be a crappy notebook, And it's the exact opposite. It's like the best notebook I've ever kind of had. So
thank you.
Props to you guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been, lots of testing, papers, processes, materials. We're also trying to push the boundaries, moving. Having fun, and just trying to make a difference, trying to add some value.
Yeah. That's cool.
So
let's back up to when it started, and because getting into, like you saying, 16,000, stores and doors that you're in. So how much of that start, like, to get in, like with us doing apparel and stuff, and wholesale, if we want to get in the doors, we have a couple. If we want to do that, that's like a whole ordeal of. I mean, now you're a salesman.
Exactly.
You're trying to get into these doors, sell your product, open up as many doors as possible. Like, what was that like? Like, did you, going into this business, was that your goal? Like, hey, I want to sell these in stores?
Honestly, going into business, my mentality was, let's be the Threadless of notebooks.
Oh, yeah.
And so shout out to the Threadless guys.
Absolutely.
We work with them a lot. Love those guys.
That's cool.
It's cool to go into business saying, let's be like these guys and then work with them later on.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah, that's great.
So that was kind of the mentality, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
I was just making cool stuff, and people bought it, and I thought, well, if people are buying it, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And then we had a team member who had a ton of experience in wholesale.
Okay.
And so him and I were kind of going to bat and trying to build a little bit. As we were gaining some momentum, 3 years in, we brought on some investors.
Okay.
And they had tons. They had built multiple 8-figure brands, 9-figure brands, and in that wholesale game.
Gotcha.
And so we had all the ambition in the world, a great product, and then they kind of tweaked the dials and said, hey, here's where we should go. And that's where the magic really started happening.
Okay.
When they came on board. But it was a chase. And we still tell our sales teams now, like, you got to lovingly bug the crap out of them.
Right.
Like, care about them, love them, add value, but you just have to be knocking constantly. And so the first larger wholesale deal that we won was Nordstrom.
Oh, nice.
So before that, we had some killer mom and pop shops, some small stores that we still work with today, which is great.
That's cool. Yeah.
But we won a Nordstrom deal, and it was like $6,000, and we were like,
sweet.
Now we got to figure out how to fulfill that many notebooks.
Yeah.
And I'll send over a picture of us packing it, and you can see the Little Caesars pizzas like there as we're like labeling all the books and cool. In the shag carpet of the house I was renting. But to get into wholesale and to really start building that, it's got to be a focus. And really you've got to have at least one team member that's all they do.
Yeah.
Like, they're just going after it, and the sales approach.
Yeah.
So early on, and when we brought on those investors, they said, all right, Tyler, you go ahead and go after that.
Yeah.
And that's where I started traveling all over, meeting with these retailers face to face, going to the right trade shows. I was terrified to go to a trade show where you set up the booth and you have your products displayed.
Yeah.
And buyers are walking through. I thought for sure, man, if we go to a stationary show, which is our industry, someone's going to steal our idea.
Yeah.
I was worried about that as a young creative.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. If you've put in the work and you're willing to pay a few $1,000s to show up at a trade show, people may be inspired by you and try to copy a bit.
Yeah.
They're not going to steal your idea. That's such a worry in the industry. It's not going to happen. Yeah. So traveling, talking to these buyers, trying to find them, and saying, hey, here's what we do. Yeah. And it just took years of knocking. Yeah. I even remember showing up in New York, unannounced, to the Barnes & Noble headquarters and just trying to schmooze the front desk guy, and he went to bat for me. He tried to line up some meetings for me, and I ended up taking him to lunch to say thank you.
That's cool. Yeah.
But the buyer ended up being like, I don't have time right now.
Right.
I was like, hey, at least they know I was there.
Yeah.
Every little step.
Yeah. So I've talked about in the past, like, showing up in person, and I think almost more so nowadays than any other time.
Yep.
Because everybody would rather just jump on a Zoom call.
Yep.
You know, but if you can get out from behind your desk, and whether it's a client you've had for years and just show up once a year or more, if you can, or
absolutely,
or they need you to, then great. But we try and at least get out to our clients, that we do a lot of business with, like once a year, just to show face and show them some of our new work, but just say hi. It goes a long way. Like, I'm sure you, with opening a lot of these doors, if you didn't show up in person, like, probably wouldn't have happened.
Yep, absolutely. One of the things that I love about my investors is they taught me, okay, starting now, you are always planning to be in our customers or potential customers' area. Like, we are just planning. So if there's a customer that we want to land and they're in Portland, guess what? We are planning to be in Portland every day now. And
Yeah.
so when you get them on the phone, hey, I'm planning to be in your area.
Yeah.
And then you go.
Yeah.
Whenever they're
Yeah.
available.
Yes.
And those face-to-face meetings have been, I can't even put a value on them, a dollar amount, because not only do you win deals there, but you have conversations about other opportunities and things come up that you weren't even thinking about because you're in person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you can be in person, it's a world of difference.
It
I
is.
talk to a lot of creatives about just going to trade shows.
Yeah.
A lot of creatives will try to go to just a local design event, and you've got great peers there.
Yes.
And you need to be doing that. You need to be with your peers, but then you also need to be with the people who are making business decisions.
Yeah.
And so get out to those trade shows. That's where you're going to drum up a ton of work and business and opportunities too. Yeah. I tell people the more business conversations you have, the more business you will have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and like those trade shows, like pick a couple of industries that you want to work in.
Exactly.
If it's the spirits industry or the beverage industry or apparel industry or whatever it is, and go to those trade shows. The companies are there that can hire you. They might not be expecting a designer to come up or whatever it is, but show up, introduce yourself, leave a business card or whatever you have, and this is where you need something physical to leave, just saying, hey, this is my website. Like, no,
Yep. I'll tell you a story about that. You'll appreciate this. The first trade show we ever did is a trade show called Agenda.
Oh, yeah. We used to go to Agenda. We used to go to ASR before Agenda was ever a thing.
Yep.
I watched Agenda grow from nothing next to ASR in San Diego to Agenda.
Exactly.
ASR shutting down, yeah.
Yep. So we drive out, spend the money. Yep. We actually, the booth space was pretty expensive, and we traded for the booth space. We said, what if we make 700 notebooks for all of your VIP guests in exchange for a booth?
Yep. So that's the best option. So we've done that as well. Like Designer Con, some of these things that we go to, we trade, we do design work, we partner on things, so that we're not, because trade show booths are expensive.
Super expensive.
Yeah. So we've done the same, which is a great angle.
And they loved it.
Yep.
And it was a great marketing play for us as well. All the VIPs got a Agenda and Denik notebook.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we set up our booth. We did the best we could, tried to stand out. But the thing that was different was we're next to, Nike SB. We're right by Patagonia, Billabong, Ruka, Brixton, right? And there's no other notebook in sight.
Yeah.
And so all these people who are walking through that first show we did, yes, buyers were coming in, like, Urban Outfitters and Jax and things like that, and picking up the product. But the big takeaway from there was when the VP of marketing at Ruka stops in and goes, wait, you guys can make these for us?
Yeah.
And then Billabong and Roxy, Quicksilver crew comes over. And now all of a sudden, everybody there comes to Denik for notebooks because there was no other fish in the sea.
Yeah.
We're the only notebook there.
That's cool.
And so, going to trade shows in the industries you want to be in, growing up being a massive skateboarder, and then now I'm making notebooks for brands I could only dream about working with.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
I didn't know you went to Agenda. That makes sense because I've seen some of the companies you work for, and I'm like, I wonder how he got in with these guys. And
Agenda.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Shit. And showing up, putting yourself out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great.
Take a risk.
Yeah. You're out there more. Like as I watch your Instagram, and you're having a lot of conversations. And you and Made by James are kind of kicking things around.
For sure.
What does that look like, or what are your plans with that?
So, for me, I've been really fortunate. I've been able to figure some things out. I've spent the last 12 years as an artist, as a designer, poring over business strategy, poring over culture and building teams and scaling companies. That and I know the challenge as a creative of the creative side and the business side. It's not an easy balance.
Yeah.
Most of us creatives would love to just be creative and let someone else handle the business side.
I've said that I didn't get into this to like really be a business owner.
Yep.
You know, like I was a designer.
Yep.
Like that ended up owning a business
For sure.
type of thing. So
For sure.
I struggle with that.
Yeah.
You know, like all the time. Yeah.
Yep. I get it.
Yeah.
And to me now, my love of design and art has really evolved into business strategy as an art. And the processes for building culture and teams and how to build the best teams and how to turn that into the art of business. Yeah. And so for me, I've just been really fortunate. I've learned a ton of what not to do, and a few things to do that are critical. And so my partners have always said, you know, you should be out there more. You should be talking to people. And now the company is at a point where I can add value to the business, but also the community by helping. And so for the last couple of years, I've been putting my calendar link out there to help
crazy
artists, designers, entrepreneurs. I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the people who gave me 15 to 30 minutes to ask help. So if anybody wants to ask help from me, it's just calendly.com/click Tyler. I have calls all the time. I just have some blocks every day where I'm meeting with creatives and entrepreneurs. And then I usually just record the call. And so any little nuggets that are coming out of there that I think are helpful for other creatives, I've been slapping them on Instagram.
That's cool.
You know, speaking more, doing more workshops, because I know the challenge of balancing creative and business. And, you know, for me, I look at down in the future, I look at, you know, what about investing in creatives and finding those creatives who need a little bit of framework to help grow and scale. And I get excited about those types of opportunities,
cool.
Getting involved more in those ways and finding those gems that, you know, have great product, great story. They just need a little bit of framework, maybe some capital, and to grow. I get excited about doing that.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's cool because the creative industry, it's the people that are in it and that do it for a living. It's like, it's such a passion, you know, it's your career, but it's a passion as well. There's like this love for it. And I've always told, like, in the past in San Diego, we'd have a lot of interns, you know, and I would always tell them, like, you have to live and breathe this. Like, you should be going home. That you should never shut it off, right? If you are shutting it off and this is just a job, 8 to 5, then it's not the right job for you. Like, you should be able to be walking around on the weekend. Everything you're seeing is somehow tied to the project you're working on, or you know, or what you do for a living. And I feel like what you're saying and what you're doing is great, because so many of those designers and artists, like, they have that passion, but they don't know which direction to go with it or what step to take next, you know? And like, to your point, asking for help, a lot of times, like, business moves fast, and a lot of businesses making decisions, like people like you and I, like, kind of where we're at, like, every day is like just decision after decision. Like you're going to go left, you're going to go right, you're going to go up, you're going to go down. You know, do you want to buy this or not? So I think, you know, when you're asking for help, a lot of times it helps you just make quicker decisions to keep the business and the day-to-day moving faster and moving forward, you know, instead of sitting back going, I don't know, you know, I've never done that. So let me think about it a little bit more. Let me do some research. No, why don't you ask somebody that's done it, get their advice, and, you know, download that and then make a decision and then move on, commit to it, you know, so.
Exactly. I think, you know, when you talk about that, making a decision and then sticking to it, those are the two biggest things that I think are the challenges for creatives right now, because we live in this information society. Everything's out there.
You can get it all.
You can get it all. And it can create this overwhelm, this burnout feeling because you can't make a decision. There's so much there. And so to me, the biggest challenge for creatives is, can you make a decision, even small, make a decision, focus on it, go after it for 30 days, 60 days. 90 days. And if it's working, keep going. If it sucks, stop. Do something different. Well, we can go after something for 30 days and see what happens. So many creatives think, I got to have this signature style. I got to have everything buttoned up before I'm even going down a road. But in reality, the way you figure out your style, the way you figure out the work that you can do or the value you can add to clients is go down a path for a while. Try it. Don't be afraid to change it 90 days later. It's okay. I think that's a big struggle for creatives right now is that focus, making a decision and going after it for a bit. That's what it takes.
It does. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And then, get outside your comfort zone. Like even us with doing a podcast, starting this years ago, like super outside my comfort zone. I am not the one to be like, let me be on camera, but I felt like it was necessary, kind of like you. I feel like I have, going on 20 years of experience in the industry, building a business, hiring people, doing things like that. So the more I can share that, and maybe help somebody else do the same, then perfect.
I love it. My buddy texted me today and he said, hey, can you link up for lunch? And I'm like, sorry, I'm out of town. And he was like, oh, is it for work or for fun? And I said, work, ... But work is my fun. So
right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm having a blast on the trip. And cool. He's like, fair. And not everybody can say that. But if you can, you're heading in the right direction for sure.
Absolutely.
I had a quick story. I had an Uber driver in Boston. And I was leaving Staples headquarters. And he asked me what I did, and I told him about Denik, and he was like, wait, you started that company? And I said, yes, absolutely. It's been a journey, but that's what we do. And he said, well, I'm starting a business right now. And I said, killer, what is it? And he had figured out this cool way to sell real estate faster by doing a certain type of video and photo assets and putting it on the web a certain way. And I was like, killer, what's your next step? And he said, I just signed up for a 2-year photography course. And I was like, I love it. Let me just ask you, are you passionate about taking photos in that world, capturing the right lighting, or are you passionate about building this idea and adding value to people? And he said, the business side. And I said, well, why are you going to school to do photography? I said, there are people all over Boston who are passionate about photography. That's their talent. And so I said, you can start your business today by selling all your other real estate agents on what you do and then hire a photographer who loves it. That's their talent today to shoot for you. And so, I think as a creative, you've got to find people who have other talents, right? Other people's talents and start learning how to work with them and collaborate with them. That is critical as a young entrepreneur.
You can't do everything.
You can't do everything.
And you're not going to be good at everything, so you got to delegate.
Exactly. That's a big one that I share with people. Like as soon as you can. Right? That's like point 1, 2, and 3 of entrepreneurship is other people's talents is a huge
Absolutely.
help.
What about when thinking about, say, hiring that first person, like say you're a freelancer, like whether to do that or not, or like to your point, hire a contract photographer to help you out for a little while to kind of test the waters.
For sure.
But I get a lot of questions of like, how do you know when to hire that first person or that second or third? And to me, it's always like, well, do you want that? Do you like, you got to step back and go, do I want to own and run a company that has 10, 20, 30 employees, and give up control of a lot of that, or my time gets, the more people you bring on, the more your time is going to get scattered in different directions.
Correct.
Like you as a creative are not going to sit there and draw pictures all day.
Right.
If you have 5, 10 employees, like it's not going to happen.
For sure.
So I think you got to step back and ask yourself, like, what do I want? What is that end goal for me? So, and that's where it's always a hard thing to answer because it's like, it's different for everybody, Should you hire somebody? That might not be your best strengths to manage 5 people underneath you.
Yep. And at some point too, I look at creatives and you can build a business one of 2 ways. You can go that business route where you're doing a little less creative work, but you're still creative,
Yep.
right? Or if you are going and you're fully creative, let's say my Uber driver was the photographer and he wanted to build the business. He needs that business side.
Absolutely.
So who can he find on the business side that can sell and put the structures in place so he can execute his photography and they can build that? So I think you can go either direction. When it comes to hiring those people, be very upfront with the people that you're bringing on board of, hey, this is something I'm trying. Yeah. And I would love for it to work for you and for me. So let's try this for 30 days. Let's try it for 60 days, 90 days. Let's try it for a week and see what happens. I'm happy to pay you, but this is also new to me. Yeah. Just tell them that.
Yeah.
You know, everyone wants to put on the front that they're bigger than they are.
Yeah.
But be upfront, be honest and say, look, I'm trying this. And if it works, we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
And then, hey, I don't know how to put together a job description. Do a quick Google, find out what one looks like, or just be scrappy and type it up and then say, here's what I'm looking for. This is what I need. Can you help me with that?
Yeah.
And so keeping it super simple and just trying it. Bringing someone on a subcontractor basis is definitely a way to go. If you feel like you should hire someone or you want to try that, just try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a go for a little bit. I wish I would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Good advice.
The other thing I'd say, and you appreciate this, is early on, never skimp on design. No matter what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, give it up to like companies like Apple and stuff that like kind of laid that groundwork, you know, years ago, and people have seen the value. More and more companies and even consumers like see the value in it, you know, now.
Yep, for sure.
Like that good design sells products, you know, and an experience and this and that. Like 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't the case. Like the consumer, your average Joe, you could say like didn't notice as much or care, you know, but I think they do now.
Yep.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
And then just test.
Yeah.
Fail forward. Just keep going. The best companies in the world are testing all the time to see where they evolve to.
Yeah.
And you need to do that from the day one.
Yeah.
Keep testing.
Love it. Perfect.
So
well, cool. Well, tell me what's next for you in the brand, and you're going to do more speaking. You're loving that piece of it.
Yep.
Like
It's
you said,
blast.
the company's kind of running, and it's allowing you to step out and do a little bit more of that.
Yeah. Things are going really well. Vast majority of my time still in the business, but got a great team, and so we don't really spend a lot of money on marketing. So we're kind of looking at let's get Tyler out a little bit more. Yeah, and that'll be a little more of our marketing. So
how many people at the company?
Right now we've got 30 people.
Okay.
Yep. 30 people. And then we've got a lot of kind of contracted sales partners. Yep. And so about 140 of those across the country.
Okay.
And then, continuing to grow and scale every year. We want to add more products like this guy. Yeah. Printed vegan leather.
That's great.
So, always trying to push the boundaries there. Some new products, new opportunities, and some more partnerships, collaborations.
Awesome.
So, that's what's in the works.
Yeah, supporting the community. And like I said, it's a great product. And if you haven't checked it out, you got to check it out for sure.
Thank
you. Also check out your Instagram.
Yeah.
You're doing some cool stuff on there. And there's some great conversations that you're having.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Which I'm digging. So
love it.
I'm a fan. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everything you've done for Lincoln, and we're going to be making more notebooks, like something like that's coming. We got some stuff we're going to talk about here at lunch, but yeah.
Love it. I'm stoked. Always down. Anything you guys need, just let me know. And I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for driving all the way out here.
Wouldn't miss it. Thank you.
Right on.